Hey everybody, it's Cauliflower Man here. I'm bringing you another gameplay today. This video I am playing as Pendles. He's a very interesting player to play. Usually you have to have a team with a Pendles. By that I just mean you need to be communicating because he's best at assassinating other players. But there's a lot of little tips and tricks I want to focus on here. First thing I want to talk about is his injection. As you can see, I'm using the dash forward, and I just missed with it. The one thing you got to remember with his injection is it's always best to, there's a certain range where you want to be at when you use it. If you use the dash forward with it, and that makes it very easy to hit enemies. I was slightly too far away on that thorn there. If you're closer than the range of the dash, then you have to hit the enemy as you dash forward, meaning you have to be aimed perfectly at them. You can do it, it's a little bit harder, so you want to avoid trying to do it that way if possible. But then the main thing that you want to do with Pendles is just make the other team waste time looking for you. As you can see, that Shane and Orendi are wasting their time looking for me up there. I'm not up there, so that means that right now I just pulled two of them away from the front lines, and they got absolutely nothing out of it. As you can see, I'm doing a little bit of damage to their buildables back here. I'm stealing their shards. With Pendles, that's kind of really what you want to do, is you'll run back and forth from the front of the battle lines to behind enemy lines. You take out all their buildables, and then you come back up to the front of the battle lines and start doing some damage. As you can see right there, that time I got a good injection on that Deande. Got some good damage on her, and then as soon as she went invisible, I went invisible. The one thing you have to remember, if you're ever playing against the Pendles, don't ever try to follow them once they're invisible. When someone's invisible, unless they have like less than 100 health, just leave them alone. That's the way you deal with them. This team, they had a lot of trouble with me because they kept trying to follow me, and that's exactly the worst thing to do anytime you're playing against a Pendles. So always remember, if Pendles is visible, go after him. He's real weak, doesn't do a lot of damage, so you're not going to have much trouble killing him. But once he goes invisible, just leave him alone. Like this Shane, the whole time, he kept following me, trying to get kills, and that just leaves him open for the rest of my team to attack him, and then once he gets weak, I'm going to kill him, and that's the way it is. Another thing, too, is with Pendles, you've got a blind, or at least I'm using the blind with my smoke bomb. Most people don't use that blind on enemy minions, but remember, blind is one of the best things to use against enemy minions. If you use blind when you come up on enemy minions, when your minion wave is there, your minion wave will most likely survive the attack if the enemy minions are blinded. I see a lot of people forget about that, and so they're only using their smoke bomb for a getaway, and that is what you want to use it for primarily, is a getaway. But if you're not using it as a getaway, or if you just have, if you have it up, if its cooldown has already been reset and there's a minion wave coming, you might as well use it on the minion wave. You'll see me use it a few times offensively. You have to be a little bit more careful when you use it offensively, for the simple fact that it means you have to wait for it to reset again in order for you to go invisible without having to run behind a corner. But usually as a Pendles, it's pretty easy just to run behind a corner, and then you'll be able to go invisible without having to use any of your skills. But so this next video here it's the same match, it's just a little bit later in the match, and as you can see, I keep going after people who are weak. We've got a Reyna, so every time the Reyna puts her priority target on somebody, I usually charge them, because the Reyna is going to do pretty good damage to them, and I can finish them off. I don't know if I look at stats here, but you'll notice I'm also playing as tank. I went over this before, but for some reason nobody who plays Battleborn plays tank. And again, tank is just a role. It just means you get out there, you're in the front of the battle lines, you're the one taking most of the damage for your team. You have to have a tank on every team. That's an absolute essential, or you're going to get your ass whooped. And so nobody was playing tank on our team, so I just ended up doing it. But again, every time people get out there and put themselves in bad positions, I just go after them, and that Deande goes invisible, and so I leave immediately. But right here, you're going to watch me use smoke bomb offensively. Those guys probably could have done some serious damage to the shields of our sentry, but I use my smoke bomb. They get blinded so that they hardly even damage our minions, and that's the power of blind. If you're not using blind offensively, you're doing it wrong. And even with Pendles, Pendles is one character where you rarely want to use the blind offensively, but you still need to whenever the situation arises. So always remember that. Other characters like Caldarius, it's a lot easier to know when to use the blind because their blind is a part of a move that's offensive. But with somebody even like an Arendi's got blind, you need to use that on high value AI targets specifically. Blind is a lot better on minions and AI such as thralls or elite minions than it is on players. So always remember to use those on minions and on elite bots and on thralls. People forget about that all the time. Again, as you can see, with your injection, if you're playing Pendles, be prepared to miss a few of them. Right there, I missed that one simply because I was kind of touching the wall, so the dash didn't dash me forward because it thought the wall was in front of me. That's just the way it is. That's going to happen. Always just remember, though, if you're using your Pendles if you're using injection offensively, make sure you have an escape route. This goes not only when you use your injection, but all the time with Pendles you need an escape route. The reason why you really need one once you use that injection is because Pendles is very slow when he is uncloaked, and so if you don't have smoke bomb and you use your injection and you get too far in enemy lines, you're going to kill yourself every time. So with Pendles, always make sure you have an escape route, and an escape route with Pendles is something as simple as having a wall to go run behind, because once you're out of the line of sight of enemies, you go invisible. So that's your main escape route, is just staying near walls. Like, I could have ran behind that wall to get that invisibility, but I wanted to go invisible before I went behind the wall, so I used my smoke bomb. But playing Pendles is all about making sure that you always have an escape route, just a way to stay away from enemies. And like I said, his injection's a little hard to hit sometimes. Right there, I'm pretty sure I went straight through that Shane. I mean, there's really nothing I can do there. I think the Shane was using his fetch at the same time, so it kind of screwed up the injection. I'm not completely sure, to be honest. And then I've said this in a bunch of other videos, but whenever you come up to the enemy's little supply station up here, buy the thumper first. That's what I did up there. That's why that Shane had a lot of trouble with me. The thumper is the most important thing to have, even if it's your own supply station area. If you have enemies near it, you need that thumper up before you need the supply station up. I know everybody likes to get the supply station because it's health, but the thumper and it's slow is far better than health regen. And then finally, Pendles' ultimate, it'll make your injection reset real quickly, so it's good to use offensively. To be honest, I'm not the greatest with his ultimate. I don't think it's all that superb. I think Pendles' main attribute is his invisibility, but like I said, just always remember, when you're playing Pendles, make sure you have an avenue of escape, otherwise you're going to have a real bad time.